You already know, man, I'm saying. Hey, this your boy Tyson, man, I'm saying. Now you tuning in digital reality TV, man, I'm saying. You already know, man, let's get it. Hey, yo, man, you already know, man, it's your boy Tyson, man. What's good with you, my boy?
Shit, man, how you feeling? How you feeling?
Man, I'm feeling good, man. How about yourself, man, I'm saying?
Not too bad. Were you born and raised in Minnesota?
Man, I was born and raised in Minnesota, man, I'm saying. In the Twin Cities, Minnesota, man, I'm saying. You already know, for 25 years, man, you already know it's a blessing.
Okay. Where at exactly in Minneapolis?
North Minneapolis. You already know, man, I'm saying. Born and raised in North Minneapolis. You already know West Broadway. You already know, man, I'm saying.
Okay. So what was it like growing up on the north side of Minneapolis?
Man, you already know, man, I'm saying. Growing up as a kid, man, I'm saying. When I was a baby, man, I'm saying. Even though you growing up in the struggle, growing up, have to do it for yourself. Growing up, man, I'm saying. Man, just rely on yourself. And even though most of my family members, you know what I'm saying, we just had to, just get on our own and then, just, man, find a way to get out here as much as possible and then fight for it for what we do. At the time I wasn't Tyson, man, I used to always tell myself what I'm going to be doing like 5 or 10 years, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because you never know, because I was thinking to myself like, well, if I'm gonna be doing this or I'm gonna be doing that, and then you know what I'm saying, I probably end up in this situation or in that situation, and if it wasn't for the music, man, I'm saying, you know what I'm saying, that's why I probably think I'll probably be working a real job somewhere, you know what I'm saying? I'll probably stick into my regular mode.
So basically, you, instead of working a regular job, you wanted to follow your dream.
Yeah, follow my dreams, cause I always been trying to get in the music business since I was young. Okay. But what happened was, at the time, I didn't understand none of this stuff until I started doing a lot of freestyle in the bathroom, Kodak camera, and then I found out like YouTube is the only way to get to the top, where you need to go from there. Cause without YouTube, it would have been, I know back in the 1980s and 90s and back in the day, you had to do like auditions and competition. You gotta go through all these process
you gotta
to get
work,
to the
you
top.
gotta do a lot of things.
Do a lot of things. But now with YouTube around, you don't even have to go through all these processes. You could just do some random stuff or crazy stuff, rather you in the studio coming up with these funny music or some real music or some about life, or that rather is negative but positive or underground, whatever. Once you at the top, blowing up, people know who you is, you there. You know what I'm saying? Pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
So what got you into rapping?
What got me into rapping is that, I always look up to a lot of rappers, when I was... Who
you look up to?
Like 50 Cent, and, I looked up to, like, people like Ja Rule, like, looking up to, like, Lil Wayne, like, look up to, like, a lot of rappers, like, like, Tupac, Biggie, I look up to a lot of pioneers and rappers who've been around for, like, forever, and Snoop Dogg, like, people like Diddy, people who've been around
the people
for
that's
decades.
Been around for a while.
When I found out one of my 50 Tyson Back to Rap videos went viral, like 10 million some views, it got back in 2010. I was featured on Touch Porno and World Star Hip Hop, Kevin Hart channel. When Kevin Hart shouted me out of nowhere, when my sister told me about it, when I was in my room, when she called me downstairs and showed me the video, I was like, man, this is amazing, man. This is crazy. And then I had people came up to me when I was at the Radio Shack over South, was like, hey, you 50 Tyson, right? I was like, yeah, I know. And then it took me probably like some weeks or some days, I had to look back like, what is going on? And I realized them views,
the views. So
yeah, man, that's what made me. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's okay. So has your life changed in any way since you released that first video 10 years ago?
Yes, it really changed though. What really changed was my hit song, I Ain't Gonna Lie, hit it like 12 million on World Star Hip Hop. And what changed was, when I was when I had a name, and then I started doing more collaborations and studio time. Cause like back then, at the time I wasn't 50 Tyson, I wasn't doing no open mic shows and none of that. I was just doing it in my bathroom, my Kodak camera freestyle, like coming up with creating these songs in my head. I was just saying stuff. I ain't gonna lie. Want to be a ball player? Can I be one to hold you down? I was just throwing these stuff out freestyle, and that's how it's just. How it came though, you know what I'm saying? Like, I got paid for, like, I started doing shows when promoters start reaching out to me, wanted me getting booked for venues, for shows, and I had other artists hit me up for features and collaborations, want me to work with them in their projects and stuff, and then for hooks and DJs hitting me up for drops, wanted me to do a drop, this and that, because the email was getting full, you know what I'm saying? When I mean full, it was just getting full, and then what was changed was, that's when a lot of people start reaching out to me, like promoters, stars, and a lot of people, man. I'm saying most definitely, and that's when I took it a lot more serious. Like, like if I'm blowing up as 50 Tyson, if I gain all this fame, all this clout, all this money, and all that situation, I might as well just take it serious. Let them know who I am, let them know what I'm about, and then what I'm saying, just go crazy with that. Use that as advantage to take it to the next level.
Right.
Like, the thing is about Minnesota music, like I tell people every day, Minnesota music is like decent. Right. It ain't a lot of people made it out of Minnesota, only a few. Like, the king of pop was Prince. Right. Prince made out of Minnesota back in the 1980s. Right. Even though he's the best R&B singer in all time.
You think so?
My props go out to him. Yeah. Even though it's a lot of big people who's coming out in Minnesota who's trying. Like, I'm seeing like Atmosphere and like Nexus and like Minnesota Fast, Rocky Diamonds, and Lexi. I see these type of people come out of Minnesota. My boy Tavante Woods. I see them people blowing up. Trying to blow up Minnesota. Like, people looking at it a little bit. Even though I became like the first. Man. Like, I came like the first internet sensation of an autism rapper ever blew up with 10 million. Though, man, I'm saying, because ain't nobody in Minnesota did like that but me.
Right.
Because if you look at it like Chicago, Detroit, New York, LA, Texas, and ATL, they throwing numbers like this.
Right.
But when you look at Minnesota music, ain't that many people throwing numbers like that. Right. It's decent out here. Even though it's good music, Minnesota music, but when it comes to Minnesota artists, the one person who's doing it the most is like
it's you.
Me. It's me so far.
So where do you think the problem is in Minnesota for the music scene not to be popping? Like, what is the issue? The
issue is that, man, people having trouble to come together. People have trouble to, like, people acting like they better than this artist, they better than that, and then a lot of people just using that state where they not from against, even though you from Minnesota. It's some artists who's from Minnesota and they rapping something that you not from. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And then that kind of like make it look like people ain't taking it serious, because a lot of people was like, I had another Minnesota artist told me like, man, 50, man, I don't even know if I don't want to live here no more. I want to move to LA, pursue my career. But it's kind of different. It's just like people ain't coming together as one. It's just people going off of what other people say, and then just people don't want to stick together, and people want to act like they bad at who want to hate on each other. There's just a lot of hate going on though. Like with DJs ain't playing other people's artists' music. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had an issue like at the time I was signed with Hustle Records.
So you were signed to a label before?
Yeah, like a few years, like back in 2010 through 2012, it was like a 2-year contract. But I'm gonna tell you what happened. Like, when I was at Epic nightclub, you know what I'm saying? It was like this Trent and Lloyd event. I was there back in 2011, and then it was when you brought up Minnesota had trouble coming together. I guess DJ Inferno was there. He was the DJ that night, and then he wasn't playing because he supposed to play some of my music. Right. And at least 5 songs I did, he only played 1. Wow. Don't I Dig Me Not Diddy, and then at the time, Charles T. Hub was upset. He just went off after. Not like he went off on the DJ. Right. Me and him was just talking, have a conversation. He was like, "Oh my life, man, you the biggest thing out here in Minnesota, and man, I'm gonna make them bow down. Like, why I don't know what's going on." And he played 1 song. He supposed to play more than that, man. And then I realized DJ Inferno was on some Hayes situation too.